Hi, I'm Mr Gregles. I'm a drummer, a ex-visual effects artist, an absolute nerd when it comes to anything to do with technology and computing. And yeah, we're here to talk about the new PC Overclockers built me. I started streaming in 2017. I'd been running my own company, and unfortunately that sort of collapsed, and I ended up getting a supermarket job. And that only was on the weekends, so I needed something to occupy myself. And I ended up playing DayZ with a friend on Twitch, who was like, oh, come and live stream, do this brand new thing. And I mean, it'd been going for years, but first time I'd really dived into it. We ended up playing some games together. DayZ, PUBG had just come out, and I enjoyed it, but I was really bad at game streaming, and I was gonna quit. I was gonna just totally stop. And he turned around to me and he said, Greg, why don't you drum? You haven't drummed in ages. And I said to myself, well, no one's gonna watch that, right? First drum stream, hooked up my little electronic drum kit to my PC with a little mixer. Ended up messing up the audio, it only came out of one ear, but 17 people, after no one had watched for months of me game streaming, 17 people came and watched me drum, and I was hooked, absolutely hooked. Technology really plays a massive part in the creativity for streaming, for me especially, because anybody can drum on camera. There have been drum streams and there have been drum covers across YouTube now for years. But the tech allows me to elevate it from just watching someone drum to a live music video. The idea for me is always to push the production value. I want to do crazier and crazier things, not just as gimmicks, but something that whatever I'm doing on stream will showcase the drumming in the best way. And if there are certain downtimes within it, make it as visually interesting to keep people engaged. And I use everything from, multiple PC systems to run audio, cameras, to do live rendering of visuals. I have two background screens that run behind me while I'm drumming. That's not just to create a fancy set piece. Those are actually live rendered in real time, in some cases from Unreal Engine. I use Stream Decks and Elgato hardware to control everything live, and I go a step further. I actually ended up creating my own software company to build the software I needed to live control my setup and have my chat and my viewers change the cameras, etc. So they can really get in on the experience and essentially become the music video producer. It's called AMD, and I actually use it as well to trigger camera changes from my drum kit. So when I hit certain drums in certain patterns, it might change to the overhead camera because I'm doing something fancy from that direction. If I'm playing with just the hi-hat and snare, it moves to the side camera to capture that. And that's all automatic. It's all automated using this software. And again, you need a pretty beastie PC to run all of this. So from the very ground up of just learning to play the instrument, learning how to function with all this technology, all the way to the very specifics of building custom hardware, technology has not only facilitated the creativity, but also inspired it. So my passion for the tech really comes from, well, I used to be a visual effects artist. I used to work on adverts and films and various just visualizations of things. I can 3D model, I can video edit, and that was my profession for the longest time, and it got a bit boring. I won't lie. Like, you're not paid enough, and you get into this position where you're constantly working for someone else and producing someone else's dream. But the technology behind the visual effects has always grabbed me. You can create anything, and you truly can just go in here, delve in, and pull something out and make it as much a reality as getting it on screen. So when I came into the world of streaming, all of these post-produced features and functions, hardware, software that I'd learned to use, I was inspired to take those and try and make them into something that could be produced live. So the bullet time, the thing that we base this whole project around, is traditionally a post-produced thing. You take 20, 50, 60 cameras, you align them and you make them take a picture at the same time. That's how they did the Matrix, that's how they did the classic, as it was then nicknamed, bullet time. But to do it live, that's a whole different scale, because you're not only taking multiple live cameras at high resolutions, ingesting them into a PC, and then playing them back rapidly, which takes a lot of processing power. You then have to send this out to the world, so you have to encode it using something like OBS. OBS being my choice because it's so adaptable, open source, and I was able to build everything I needed to achieve this in specifically the ways that I couldn't achieve it any other way, let's put it that way. So the technology has constantly pushed me, and it's a waxing and waning between where I want to go and what is actually possible, and then going, well, I can't buy this off the shelf, so we got to go and create it. And you never break new ground in any art form without truly pushing a boundary and creating something wholly new. And again, that's why the plugins I've built for OBS, the software, and again, going and looking at the hardware that's available for computing and going, right, okay, let's do something that no one's done before, really has meant the project could even become a reality. The idea to get bullet time on my stream came from a meme, purely just a joke that we made on my Twitch stream. So I was drumming one day and I'm playing along, my drumstick comes out of my hand, bounces off the drum in front of me and comes at my face, and I dodged it. And someone in chat just put, oh, look at Greg being Neo, or, you know, look at Neo Gregles. And I ended up talking about that, being like, wouldn't it be really cool if we could do the bullet time effect? I don't think it would be even possible. You need all these cameras. And the more I talked about it on stream, the more my brain was going, but webcams exist, and we could use lots of multiple USB hubs. And I ended up creating the first iteration of the bullet time with 12 webcams and more USB PCIe cards than you can imagine, and more headache than I can ever describe. I know more about USB bandwidth, controllers, and setting up any USB device than anyone should ever know. And truly, it just came from that joke. A pure, like, innocent little joke, which has become something that I'm now known around the world for as having done on stream. The setup I've been running up until now was good. It could achieve the bullet time, it could run multiple cameras, all the visualization and everything I've spoken about. But it was getting to the point where the actual hardware itself was becoming the limitation. I'm using an older generation AMD Threadripper Pro, which is still an absolute powerhouse, you know, nearly 4.5 years on. Considering how fast tech moves, that's pretty amazing nowadays. But I was getting to the point where the clock speed wasn't fast enough to run absolutely everything in real time. I wasn't able to run higher end GPUs because it's still got Gen 4 rather than Gen 5 PCIe. And I was getting to the point where just in general, I was seeing a bit of sluggishness with various other parts of the hardware, which again, the motherboard I'm running and the CPU I'm running are all contributing to that. And for most people, or 99% of people running a live stream setup, what I have would last them for the next 5-8 years without even breaking a sweat. But this new system is not gonna have those bottlenecks because we're running a 32-core Threadripper Pro 9975WX. It has the clock speed to facilitate the faster processing in general that I need across everything. Because again, we're working in real time here, not post-produced. I can't just put it in a video editor, which again, the previous Threadripper could do. We need to send this out live to everyone across the globe, and it needs to process instantaneously. And I always have gone for the Threadrippers because they're the golden tier standard. There isn't a CPU out there, in my opinion, that can touch them. They can game, and I game on a Threadripper right now, and they can encode. A lot of people turn to GPU encoding when live streaming. The Threadrippers, I can put it on almost placebo in OBS, which is the highest level of encoding. and I get a phenomenal result with 0 drop frames. This new system, I'm going to be able to encode more outputs, meaning multi-streaming will actually be achievable for me. The ceiling has been raised, the bar has been raised, and that old system, while it served me fantastically for the last several years, needs to move aside now and give me the ability to actually progress. And this new system facilitates that. For this, it required something quite specialist. We're really pushing out the boat when it comes to the technology used or available for streamers. So who better to go to than Overclockers, who have the team to help me research and find the best solutions. They have all of the best parts and the best partners, and they have people who are actually enthusiastic about this stuff rather than just wanting to throw something off the shelf together for me and call it a day. I have been working now with Overclockers on and off for nearly 12 years. Which is absolutely astounding, to be honest. They've always been the ones I've come back to when I've needed either a specific part, something for a water cooling system, just building my own PCs. I've built all my own PCs, I love doing it, and Overclockers has just been the place that I've gone to. And the most exciting thing about this project has really been, as cliche as it sounds, pushing the boundaries. I get really excited by doing things that no one else has done before, or no one's done in exactly the same way. And just being able to take an idea through multiple iterations and every time it get demonstrably better is really freaking cool. So that, alongside with, I get to play with the latest in technology. The Threadripper Pro and the system that we have, the motherboard we have, the amount of memory that's in it, just facilitates so many cool options. And again, we've done this, we've built this system, it runs the bullet time, it runs it incredibly well. But there's more I can do on that system at the same time. Unlike the previous one I had, where I was really starting to max what it could do, and there was bullet time, running through the cameras, and not much processing power left for anything else. This has so much bandwidth left. Just taking this in directions that I didn't think was possible because the technology I was playing with couldn't facilitate it. So it's opened doors again that I thought were just permanently shut. And that for me is the crux, is that ever consistent improvement is like a drug, and I will not stop until I cannot go any further. What does drumming mean to me? That is, it's going to sound really cheesy. That's like saying you've got an ocean without water. It's my like true passion in life is drumming. You know, tech's a close second, but drumming, if we roll it back, I started drumming quite late, at the age of 15. Most drummers start earlier. But I started because I saw someone drumming in my school, just in music rehearsal room, and went, that's really cool. Not realizing that it would actually change my life forever. And I have Tourette syndrome. I can shout swear words, I can screech, I can jerk. This happens involuntarily, and you can't tell right now. Why is that? Because of the drumming. I went for my very first drum lesson when I was 15. I sat down on the drum kit. I was taught by my teacher to just play a very simple beat. My Tourette's disappeared. It just stopped. It was the first time in, since the age of 5, so over 10 years, that I had been truly Tourette's free. And I cried. I broke down and cried. And I was hooked on drumming from that point. It didn't just give me a way to express myself in music, but it took away the neurological condition that had plagued me for years. And as I drummed more and learned more, and as I became more obsessed with the instrument outside of the Tourette's, I found this real love for an instrument I could play. I tried to play the cornet and piano and a couple of other things beforehand, but I never got to the point of going, this is my instrument. Drums is my instrument. I listen to every piece of music now with a bigger appreciation for it. I can listen to things and go, you know what, I can play that. I can go and jam with a group of musicians, which means that I get to connect with people on more than just, a face level. Like, jamming with people and making music is a truly phenomenal experience. And if you haven't learned an instrument to be able to experience that, I highly encourage it. But it also allowed me to break away from a normal job, right? I started drumming on Twitch because my mate Sam said, hey, people I'm sure would love to see you drum. No one on Twitch at this time was doing music streaming. I think there were about 10 of us on the whole platform doing music. And it exploded. I was able to go full time 2 years after starting it as a hobby, which meant that I was able to quit my supermarket job, which I was a bit stuck in at the time. So at every step in my life, drumming has facilitated an improvement. Drumming has facilitated an expression of myself. And now I get to enjoy the instrument and share it with people on literally a global stage every single day. So it's hard to put into words what it means to me, but I wouldn't be me without it. So the biggest challenge that I've faced and the biggest challenge that I face are actually quite different. The biggest challenge back when I started on Twitch was being able to try and achieve my ideas, because I was limited in the amount of hardware I had. I was limited in the amount of things I could do. I was in a terraced house, and before that a flat where I disturbed the neighbors. So I was trying to find the time to drum and not disturb people. And then as well, trying to fit my personal life in around something that, I won't lie, I'm so passionate about. I want to be doing 24/7. You know, if it wasn't for the fact that I, you know, love her dearly and want to spend time with her, you know, my wife being the only person in this equation really, is I would end up just drumming and streaming constantly. I became and have become obsessed with it. So the challenge has actually been just sort of like that balance, to try and satisfy that need in my mind to constantly innovate. Because that's what it comes down to, right? I love the drumming, I love performing and everything, but I love learning and improving more than anything. Learning for me is just a drug. You know, someone says to me, oh, can you do this? And I go, no, I can't. That's like a spark in my brain where I go, well, here's the chance for me to go and do that. And getting better on the drums and breaking boundaries with like creating the bullet time or building software that allows myself and other streamers to achieve things they've never done before. It's incredible. So the challenge has always been that balance, really, though, is to make sure it doesn't absolutely consume everything. And then the challenge in the future, like I say, is slightly, maybe slightly connected, but still different, which is I've gotten to this point now where I am known for drumming. I am known for the bullet time. I've streamed on Twitch for nearly 10 years. I've got an amazing audience. But it's how do I keep this going? It's hard as a content creator to constantly stay fresh. It's hard as a content creator to stay relevant. There's been massive changes in how people consume content nowadays. I haven't really ever ventured properly into short form. I need to if I want to stay relevant, but that's hard for me because I love the streaming and being live so much. So my challenge really is, how can I not just create gimmicks? How can I take something that makes my stream a place where people want to be, makes me satisfied with the innovation and the route that I'm taking, and creatively as well, not fall into a rut? It's very easy with doing these things to either get stuck in the same thing day in and day out and then end up hating it, which I nearly quit streaming at one point. I did end up in that position because I couldn't innovate. There was nothing driving me to improve, or there was no path to improvement. So the challenge comes down to that facilitation of making sure that I'm able to do it, really. And I don't want to become irrelevant in the streaming space. I also don't want to be someone who people just go, oh, it's the guy who did the bullet time, you know. It's the reason why I want to push forward with the tech, and the reason why, you know, the facilitation of this AMD Threadripper and this PC has really excited me, because I thought the bullet time was at a dead end. I thought it was like, right, okay, I've got to go and find something new, and finding something new to enthuse you as much as I've been enthused and dedicated to the bullet time would be, well, it's been impossible. So now it's got a new lease of life on it. That challenge has gone away for the time being. So now it's about diving in. It's about keeping the gas on, keeping the pressure on. There are so many ways we can improve this, and I want to make sure that I don't miss an opportunity at all. With content creation, I want to always have an audience. I want a dedicated audience. I want an audience that actually loves what I do. But I also, you know, quite selfishly, I don't want a small audience. Now, if I never got another sub on Twitch again, if I never got another donation, I would still keep doing it. I love it. It's an incredible hobby that, you know, it started as a hobby, I'd continue as a hobby. If I only had 5 people watching me, I'd still do it. But there is always that yearn in me to improve, to get bigger and better. And I was a lot larger as a content creator than I am now. Times changed. People move on to different types of content. So for me, it's, while I'm in you could class it a little bit of a lull in the numbers game right now, I'm the most creative I've been. And every time I've been in this situation, there's always been an up afterwards, because I create something cool, I share it, people like it, they find me and they stick around. So yeah, very honest there. You know, it's the worry of every content creator is how relevant are you going to be. But for me, I think it's about choosing the type of relevance. I'd rather be relevant for being seen as an artist, a creator, someone to inspire and teach and facilitate other people's inspiration and creation, than just going, hey, I'm gonna do whatever the newest TikTok trend is. So looking to the future of this project, there's quite a lot we can do, actually. So this system that we've built has been able to take already the bullet time from 1080p, 60 frames a second, to 4K 30. But I want to go to 4K 60, which isn't actually a limitation of the system we've got, just the cameras that I have. They only max out right now at 4K 30 frames a second. So we want to go and try and get some PTZ cameras. There's a little bit, which I'm sure you'll be able to see from the behind the scenes footage, where we have to go and set up and align all of the cameras individually. It takes ages, like nearly 2 hours it took us to get everything perfectly aligned. And once they're set, you can't touch them. Any micro jolt to them, even just turning the camera on and off will misalign them, and you lose the whole effect. It looks janky and horrible. So I would like to go with PTZ cameras so we can have automatic alignment. And then 4K 60 on top of that, higher quality. We can do punching in, we can do dramatic zooms as we go through the effect. And then on top of that, the real challenge, this system has the ability, if we use PCI bifurcation, so for anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's essentially taking a PCIe lane or port, splitting it. So an X16 can become an X8 or 4 X4s. The capture cards we use run on X8, so I would like to take 6 of the PCIe Gen 5 ports that we have, split those into X8s, and then run every single one of those as a capture card, which would give us 12 capture cards. Each capture card takes 4 inputs, which means we could go to a full 48 cameras running at 4K 60 frames a second, which again, the 9000 series Threadripper Pro isn't going to even flinch at that. So that is pushing not only into, as we've had it right now, sort of the 20 cameras I have is a good 90 degrees of bullet time. We can split it out to 180 degrees, so you can do half a circle. Gets a little bit jolty though, because the further you pull the cameras apart, the more physical distance between them, the more it looks like it's skipping. So 90 degrees with 20 cameras is great. We go to 48, we're gonna be able to get them close enough together in a circle to do full 360 or a really, really smooth and compact 270. That's the dream. And doing that live, no one's done it before. We could take this out and do some incredible things. The fact it can be done with one system now, originally when I rigged this up, I was doing this with 6 PCs and having the cameras split across all of them just to get USB cameras to run and then chaining them together with HDMIs. The fact that I can do it in one system is absolutely mind-blowing now. And I mean, well, it reduces my electricity bill, which I'm always happy about.